Hey, listeners, welcome to Mixtapes and Mopeds. Of course, it's the fastest growing podcast on the internet, but we have now came back from a little break. We had a little bit of a little break. We had a little tiny break. It's okay. That's okay. Can't say enough about all the positive feedback. And we get a lot of positive feedback, and our two listeners, Mr. Stone, Mr. Jack, thank you for always tuning in. I know you guys, but I got to give a big shout out to Abby and her husband Levi, who is stationed in Jordan right now. Big shout out for those listeners. Thank you for so much. They listen to the podcast in the morning as they're getting ready for whatever's coming up next. We just love it. You know, we are like the streaming TV show. Not friends, but we're the friends of a lot of folks around there that just
Yeah,
love to tune in and say, "Hey, how y'all doing?"
yeah,
So thank you so much for tuning in. So wait, Panda, what say you?
yeah. And Levi's coming back from being out of the country for a while. I think here in the coming week or two. So that'll be great for
Nice.
them. Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah, yeah. It was cool. We were both back in Lancaster in the last few weeks, and it surprised me how often the podcast came up when we were back there. Just random people that I would see come and like, hey, when's the next podcast? I'm like, oh, got some life going on right now, but we'll get back at it. So that was cool though that folks are listening in back in Lancaster. So that's very cool. Um, but now back in reality here in Atlanta, one of the things that I came back to is I've kind of created my own little monster in my house here in Atlanta. It's this 2 acre plot of land,
Do you
and
stroke your monster? Do you like give him
yeah,
joy?
no stroking,
Okay.
but yeah, it's like a 2 acre plot of land, which has always been kind of my, I like land and whatnot, and it's private and all that. But every year,
Sounds like you don't like neighbors.
I love my neighbors, but but everybody's kind of behind their trees or whatnot. But I every year I keep adding to the manicured elements of the property. And now I came back to a 520 bales of pine straw just to every year that we're going to have to do going forward. And yeah, that kind of I choked on making that payment. But do you know what 520 bales? That's like multiple trucks of pine straw that they bring in. Takes 5 guys to put it down. So yeah, in hindsight, maybe I should have just let it all be natural and not do what I did. But that's
It sure
that's.
looks good though. For all
But
the
it does look
podcast
good.
listeners, it sure looks good.
It does look
If
good.
you're out there listening to us on one of the other ones, it is a beautiful plot of pine straw. Matter of fact, he should just grow pine trees so they could just drop
Exactly.
their little
There you
little
go.
egglings down so he can squeeze up that pine
Oh
essence
man.
in the spring.
You mean the yellow substance that's
Oh
on
my
every
goodness. Isn't that
unbelievable.
this year
This is
unbelievable
the worst ever.
ever?
It's in everywhere. It's like poor Jill, she's like we have this, porch area that she likes to sit on, and everything is like got a quarter
Covered
inch
in
of that. It's
yellow.
just covered and you just can't sit out there. So
Yeah, I
she's
have my
trying.
group coming out and spraying down the house. I mean, I could go out there and do it, but I've got to go get the paint stuff. Let's go. I haven't done it in 2 years, so it's time to get the house done.
Jill's got a black vehicle and it turns yellow this time of year. It's crazy.
A little bit of
A little
yellow.
bit yellow. But I am headed back to Ohio and on tomorrow actually, and gonna go catch the spring game. So it'll be cool. Last year I went too, just luckily, and so going back this year, and of course after a national championship, I imagine there's going to be more than a few people wanting to go to that. So new quarterback, couple quarterbacks going head to head, so that should be interesting. So I'm kind of excited to catch up with my brother and Casey and his good friend. So yeah, it should be fun on Saturday. Looking forward to that.
All right, I'm going to use our platform right now in this segment of I am going to bitch. I'm going to go and
There
say,
you go.
I am going to say, you scum-sucking pigs. You
Oh boy.
scum suckers. And there has got to be a special, whatever you believe, there's a special place in hell for these kind of people. You know, actually, I don't remember anything ever talking to you about. Have you ever been robbed, Panda?
Yes. Yeah.
Car or house or.
I don't know if you remember this, but when we first moved to Sandy Springs, we were having some work done on our ranch, and some guy came in through the construction and stole some money and credit card and the keys to Jill's
Oh,
Volkswagen and went to the bank, got money because we had a statement there with our PIN on it, just unfortunately, because we just moved basically into this house and got new accounts and all that. And the guy drove, and he was an alcoholic, whatever. He drove all the way to Indianapolis and then wrecked the car. And then they brought him back, had to go to trial, had to go to his trial and all of that. So that was yeah. So I've gone through that. That's a real pain in the butt.
I was thinking about that. I'm thinking about time. I when I in middle school or early high school, I'm not sure where it was. I used to collect coins. So my earliest time was, I don't know how it happened, where it happened. Somebody was in our house, but nothing else. Just my coin collection disappeared. And I had collected coins, the little wheat pennies, for years and
Hmm.
years and years. And all of a sudden, there were three or four of those albums just disappeared. And, yeah, you could assume there was a friend in there, and I'm never going to point a finger at somebody. I could guess, but you can't accuse. You just
Right.
went, yeah, it sucked because how long you go and put that
Hmm.
together as a kid. I had my car in college broken into when had my radio stolen. I had my car at the Gables over there. The
Oh my
240,
God, really?
yeah, the 240 was broken into over there. They
Huh.
didn't really get much. I can't remember what they stole, but they got something. Then, like you, I had my house broken into at Brookhaven while we were in the house.
Oh, ouch. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole story that goes in with that. Had my car stolen in Buckhead. Walk out at a dinner and go, huh, I think I parked over here. Where the hell is it? And
Oh,
the valet goes, well, the keys are here, but the car is no longer here. And you go, God bless it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they found the keys. They found the car a couple days later in the middle of a field, but it was actually perfect because I wanted to get rid of that car anyway, and it just worked out great. And then last year, New Year's here in Atlanta, we were down in Buckhead for or no, like 3 years, 2 years ago when Ohio State played Georgia. The horrible kick at midnight.
Oh
Our
God, yeah.
car was broken in that night.
Dang.
But the scum sucking pigs that have reached a whole new, just what they prey on. The poor people now that just the phone calls, the emails of how they get to people. So I've got a great story for those. We think there's a special place in hell for these people. Whatever you
Fired up
believe.
today, man.
I
Usually you
just,
don't like to use that language. Now
yeah,
you're
right. Somebody who works for me, or I know, um, they contacted the person, and he thought they were computer support. Long story short, they took over his computer and they said, somehow got him and said, hey, $10,000. We just put $10,000 in your account. You need to give us $10,000 back. So long story short, he goes, hey, you know what? I'm so busy. There's somebody at the door. I got to get this. Let's talk tomorrow, and I'll get you your $10,000. We'll go meet at the ATM, and I'll get you your $10,000. Well, he hangs up with them, calls up the FBI, which for everybody on this call or everyone here, who the hell would the FBI ever answer the phone for that? But he had a contact there in Virginia. He's from somewhere around that area, and called him up, and the FBI got involved. And so the next day, when he calls these folks back, they track the landline and figure out where these two people are. And he goes, hey, I'm going to meet you at this ATM where I'm going to deposit your $10,000. And the scum sucking pig that showed up there, he gave him the $10,000 before he put it in the ATM. And all of a sudden, two FBI agents go, oh. and they arrest the scum sucker right there, and get one in Dallas and get one in Hawaii. The
Really?
ones that were on the phone, and nailed them. It was freaking
That's
awesome.
awesome. That almost never happens, I imagine.
Never happens. Never happens. But it's a pretty good story.
So within 24 hours to like arrange the FBI, get them there, do their all
Bingo.
their diligence, and then to actually he was integral to making it happen. Like he was playing his
Right, and
role. Yeah.
those scum suckers know exactly where he lives, and but he carries
Yeah.
a lot of guns, and he doesn't give a
Okay.
crap about it. And he anybody walking the door, I don't want to knock on his front door when I.
Well, that's awesome
But
the way it ended up because it doesn't normally go that way. Had some experience, not me personally, of that going the wrong way with no
right,
FBI
with no
help.
recourse,
Yeah.
nothing you can do. I listened to it, and literally in 2 weeks I heard like three other stories. So, public announcement here. If you don't know the person on the phone, don't answer it. Don't talk to them. By the way, your nephew, your cousin, your son, your daughter, they're all fine. Pick up the phone. They're fine. Don't even think twice. You've done nothing. Just don't even address those scum suckers and
Yeah.
leave it be. Call up your kids and ask them if you ever get contacted. Call up your kids and say, "Hey, I got something here. I don't think it's all." Be suspicious of everything and everybody. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Anyway, that's my little rampage of the day. We're gonna go kick it off into Round the Horn. And so, what about the March Madness, Panda? What did you think about the March Madness this year?
Well, strange that four number one seeds make it into the final four and three on the women's side, and then the number two seed ends up winning on the women's side. So I think interesting. Normally, you see like a number one seed get upset somewhat early on. So interesting on that point. Florida winning it all kind of took me back to when in
Oh, don't even bring it up.
2007. I mean, we were
Ah,
I
ah.
got a ticket from my Florida friends, and I went to the Final Four where they beat UCLA, Ohio State did, and then they went up against that Florida team, and had Oden and Conley and all the that was a good
Conley, I
high
think, is
state.
still playing.
He's still
I saw
playing
him
in the NBA.
involved in
Yeah,
that fight the other, couple of weeks ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those Florida teams are really good. So then kind of fast forward, and I'm like, oh well, Houston's kind of in control of this, and I thought that they had it under control, and Florida kept fighting, whatever. But I don't want to like get too hyperbolic or anything, but those last three possessions for Houston, those are about the worst that in the history of March Madness, and they put them back to back to back right at the end of the game. Like I can't believe it. Actually, I'm watching that last play. I mean, jeez. I mean, great job by Florida, but Houston, man, they just did not show up when they really needed. The light was a little too bright for them when it mattered. I thought. What
I
about you?
agree. Yeah, you know what? There was another one though that had the same thing that came back from 13 points. Who was the other team that came back 13 points down before that
Hmm.
one? Was it Florida or was it Houston? Houston beating Duke. It was Houston beating
Oh
Duke.
yeah, Houston did come back.
They came
Yeah,
back
Duke
13 points.
choked it
Same
up pretty
thing.
good. Yeah,
Same
yeah.
deal.
But I felt like it was more Houston took it from Duke, where
I'd
I think
agree.
in this
Yeah,
one Houston gave it to
yeah.
Florida.
Which you know what that coach for Houston, man, I like that guy. I don't know if you ever listened to him. He's just a genuine. I love that guy. Wish we'd grab him at Ohio State a long time ago, but.
He's a cheater. Why is it Houston? Because he got kicked out of
Yeah, that's a
Indiana.
very, very good point. Yeah, yeah, very good point. Yeah, he's a cheater. I'm not.
But
Okay.
that makes him a really qualified college basketball coach these days. So what are you
Right.
doing?
You just go look at St. Joseph or St. John. No, St.
St.
Joseph.
John's
St.
and
John's. There you go.
Arkansas and all the yeah. You're Auburn. I'm sorry, but Bruce Pearl's coming
Oh,
too.
he's definitely in that category. But yeah. Okay. So the other around the horn story we were thinking about is, and this is for the listeners. Yeah, we a lot of folks still remain in around Ohio, but I looked at this. If many folks, what would you take from your hometown, and if you could spread it from your hometown to somewhere else, Hilton Head, Atlanta, California, when you leave your nest, what would you take from your nest and spread it around? What do you say, Panda?
Well, what I would love to say, but it wouldn't work, is the Skyline Chili. But that was tried when I
That's not
moved
even
to.
our nest. That's from Ohio.
It's Ohio, but and it's in Columbus, so but it was already tried in the mall here, Perimeter Mall, and in the '90s when I moved here, and it failed. So I don't think Skyline really works outside of Ohio. It just never probably going to get traction. But here's one thing that I think is related to Ohio that would work because I think pizza in Atlanta for the most part sucks, and
Oh,
outside
I've
of
got an interesting stat for you.
okay, let me
Guess
give
what
you
big
my.
guess what big city has the most pizza eating people in it?
Well, is that per capita or just total?
Per capita.
Uh, I would say Columbus.
I would say the same thing. I'd say New York. I'd say Chicago.
Yeah,
The
it's not
report this
Atlanta.
morning was Atlanta.
Well,
Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
people in Atlanta are searching for good pizza. And yes, there are pockets of good pizza, but it's not really great. You have to go to like Antico, which is pulling in from Italy or whatever. But here's what I love about Ohio pizza, because I was just up there and went to Castaways. Hadn't been to Castaways in like 10 years and ordered a pizza. And oh my goodness, so good there. Anyway, I I love the sweet and spicy pizza sauce that you get on so many of those Lancaster and Central Ohio pizza places. And so if you could get that, I call it Ohio pizza down to Atlanta or wherever you want to go. And I also like putting all of the ingredients under the cheese. I like that too. But
Me too. Exactly. Love
yeah, I
that.
love
Yes.
that. I think that would go gangbusters down here. I really do. Something like that.
I'll agree. I can't agree with you more. I mean, holy crap. That is exactly put it underneath the cheese.
Yes.
Not on top of the cheese. Underneath the
No,
cheese.
under the cheese.
And the
That's
sweet red sauce. Absolutely. There
oof.
is no place around here that has that good kind of.
No, you don't
If you
can't
want
get
to,
it.
by the way, listeners, if you live somewhere around the country and you want to have the best pizza, go to Lancaster, Ohio.
Oh my God, it's crazy for a
You
little
want the
podunk
best? There's
town.
there's 10 different ones, and we argue you can have 10 different ones of pizza there. You can go say, hey, the best ones.
I
And
know.
this comes from two podcasters here that I have been all over the country, and you've been all over the country. I have tried New York pizza, Chicago pizza, Long Island pizza, Jersey pizza, and certainly there's some good ones out there. I'm not going to disqualify them. I will say a New York one was really good, but you want to find a town that have 35,000, 50,000 people and have 10 of them you go try. Man,
It's
it has
crazy.
some of the best.
It doesn't
The
make any sense,
craziest
but it
thing.
is true. It is true
Mine
for
was real
sure.
easy. What would you take out of Ohio and go anywhere else or from your roots? For me, I love walking into I walked into somewhere down in Florida. You go, hey, OH, and you see 10 people.
Uh,
Oh!
that's
You
true.
walk in Hilton and you go, OH, oh! That's my takeaway. And
That's
you say the same,
hysterical.
you go, roll tide, roll tide, roll tide, roll tide. War
So
Eagle,
yeah,
War Eagle, War Eagle. I
yes,
love,
yeah.
yeah.
Yesterday, a guy came out to give me a quote on some gutter work I need done, and I opened the door to have like my Ohio State like sweatshirt on. He goes, "OH!" Like, oh, baby, okay,
There you go, baby.
like you already.
There we go. Blue collar. I'm buying from you. Yeah, that's to me. How do I take that? I mean, regardless, wherever your roots are from,
Yeah,
that's a cool thing to take wherever you go.
yeah, agreed.
All right, segment one, the underrated 80s. So, we can pick a topic. Mine's pretty long.
All right,
So,
I'll go first then.
okay, go ahead.
So
Pick your
just to
topic.
remind everybody, this is we will pick something from the 80s. Could be an actor, musician, athlete, band, movie, song, album, sports team, anything else. from the 80s that was great, but underrated in our minds at least. And so we'll make a case each week. And I'll go first this week. And my choice for this one is Zima.
Oh God! That was the '80s. That was the '80s. Are you kidding me?
Not. It sucked.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I drove to Chattanooga to get a six-pack of that in Atlanta.
I know you did. You drove to go. You went out of state to get that Zima, which nobody else liked. We had to drink it just because it was there to be had to be drunk, but we didn't enjoy it. No. Anyway, I thought you'd find that funny, and that drifted into the '90s, so I cheated a little bit there. Anyway. All right. This one kind of funny. I think you'll know this guy. I watched a movie, The Natural. Do you ever remember The Natural with Robert Redford?
Robert Redford. Wasn't that film? No, was that filmed in Ohio? No, that's not. That one wasn't the one. Robert Redford did have a film over there in like Lexington. Brubaker. That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay. So Redford was in The Natural and Brubaker, and this gentleman who I'm offering up is one of our most underrated actors of all time goes by the name of Wilford Brimley. Do you know who Wilford Brimley is?
I don't know. Makes pizza in Lancaster?
No. So Wilford Brimley was in The Natural. He was the manager for Robert Redford's character, that old crusty coach with the mustache, and he was in Cocoon. Do you remember the movie Cocoon, where you had a bunch of like 60-year-olds who?
I saw the movie, but I don't remember the movie.
He was in Brubaker, the one you mentioned, which was filmed partially in Lancaster at the fairgrounds and all around Central Ohio. He was the security.
Marilyn Clark was in that movie.
No, really?
Yeah, Marilyn Clark was on the outside of that movie. Her fame, she was in that movie.
Ow, good for her. He was also in The Firm, which is Tom Cruise.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good one. I love that.
That's a good one.
That's probably my favorite of all the John Grisham movies.
Yeah, he was the security guy who showed the pictures of Tom Cruise and the having sex on the beach with some strange woman. And he was in a bunch of other movies like Absence of Mouse. But anyway, this Wilford Brimley was like a character actor. And every movie, when he was in it, I was like, okay, this is going to be a good movie, even though he was never the star. And so for me, just guys like that, I really appreciate guys who are just people who are just really good at their work, their craft, but never, maybe get all the full recognition. He never, I don't think, ever won an Academy Award or anything of that nature, but he was just one of those guys where I just enjoyed. I thought, you know what, that's my underrated 80s choice for this week. So there you go, Wilford Brimley.
That's a good one. That's a really good job there, Panda. That's a good story to go along with it too. Okay, so mine's gonna be under the category of other that you were talking about. The other, there was not sports actor or any of those deals. So mine comes with a story. So my story starts out as when I was in high school. This is, by the way, PG-13 broadcast, so I'm keeping it PG-13. So I'll try not to swear. But in high school, I did a speech. There was a panel of us. It was a speech class. And there's a panel of 4 of us in this speech class, which included one guy, I don't remember who he was, one of the football players, big starting football player. And our co-valedictorian was Connie Helwig, our co-valedictorian, co-salutatorian. She was somewhere
something
up
like
on
that. Yeah.
She was up there pretty high. But we were the 4 on this panel, and the teacher's name was Buskirk, and one of the best, one of my best classes of all time. And on this panel, we did a speech on contraceptives. And so, talk about a topic, you go, holy crap. And so you have 30 people in the audience. And, when you're in high school, probably the scariest thing you ever have to do is stand up in front of anybody and give any sort of a speech in front of anybody. So we had a panel that was giving the talk about having contraceptives in the whole deal.
Is this the banana story?
Yeah, so the first guy...
You've told this story on the podcast before.
Well, it keeps on going.
Okay.
There's more.
Like,
it's leading up.
There's more.
It's leading up to the deal.
All right.
First guy goes, does his deal. Second person does their deal. And so then I had to do, and I told it before in the podcast, you take the banana and you go put the condom on the banana and demonstrate how to do that. And then Connie was up and she was talking about how women have their contraceptives. And well, then I take the condom off the banana and eat the banana. And so you go, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. The whole audience is like, "Holy God!" They didn't listen to a word she said. They were watching me eat a banana. So about a week later, I ended up in the principal's office, and he's telling me about how he's going to get me out of school suspension because I put a condom on a banana, and blah blah blah. Calls up my mom, and she gets on there and rips him a new butthole. And so anyway, I didn't have to spend out of school suspension my senior year. I'm surprised. But that was kind of funny. So, part two of this story is we also used to work at a place that had a view of a gas station, and the gas station was notorious that had a condom machine in the gas station. And so, one of our dear friends, and his name will not be repeated on this podcast, but one of our dear friends walked into said bathroom and I saw him walk into the bathroom. And I knew what he was buying when he was going in the bathroom because that's the only thing you do in that bathroom is not to pee, but it was to buy at that period of time to buy your condoms in the bathroom. So I gathered about 10 people around the workplace, and he comes out of the bathroom, and we've got a woo!
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
Cheering for him coming out of the bathroom. And he looks up and he's like, oh, because he
God.
wanted to go. In today's day with a picture, you'd be like
Yes.
broadcasting that on Facebook and every social network out there going,
That's awesome.
So my segment of the underrated 80s is the ribbed condom. The invention of the ribbed.
Oh, God. Oh, boy. That's funny.
You would like that.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I like that. This underrated 80s in my head when we kind of came up with the topic, it was kind of going in a different direction, Steve. You kind of moved it over in a different direction. I like where you're headed though, but wasn't really anticipating a story about ripped condoms.
My weird mind, underrated 80s. I mean, literally, I pulled it up and go, oh. When was a ribbed condom invented?
Oh my God, that's the first thing you think of? Underrated 80s?
Invented 1985. Boy. Oh, that's a good story. Let's talk about the ribbed condom without talking about it.
Oh my God. Wasn't the first time we did this, you were like making out in the backseat of a car? I mean, we know where your mind is, apparently.
Sorry.
That's very funny. Well done, sir. Oh my God, that's funny. Oh man.
We're going into the first segment in this Star Wars battle, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to talk.
All right, let me set this up. So we decided we both like Star Wars a lot, and it started in the 70s, but it was through the 80s, and then of course recently, last 10 years, 15 years, they've kind of finished that up, and we decided to have a battle of what were our favorite episodes and least favorite episodes, and we'll defend our choices. So I'll go first while you kind of gather your thoughts and composure there, Mr. Wheels. So I am more of the old school thinking on Star Wars. There were 9 episodes. The first 3 were episodes 4 through 6. And then they did 1 through 3 about 20 years later, and then they just finished up 7 through 9, a few years back. But I really feel like the original one. So for me, what is the second one released, but it was episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, is my favorite episode of all time. It's just so iconic. It's where Luke realizes that who his father is, and it's really the connection from the first episode to finally taking down the Empire. But it was we were introduced to all these new characters, and Han Solo is captured by the bounty hunter, and all of that was really set up. And it was really from beginning to end probably the most cinematically the best episode. So that is my number one. And then the very first one, episode 4, which is the first one, is my number 2 on my list. So those are my top two favorites. I can give you my least favorite, or you want to do your favorites, and then.
No, look. So look. Star Wars, Star Trek, Star Search, Star is Born. If it had a star in it, I was a fan. I watched all those things. I mean, you had grabbed my attention all the time. I'd watch all that crap, and so it's really hard to the argument's hard with the Star Wars. There's a couple bad ones in there. Well, I say bad ones. A couple that you go, this one's okay. And I'm such a fan that I don't really like saying any of them are okay because I can watch any of them over and over and over. When it comes on, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
But that first one, and we both had the first one starting off, because of in 1977, there was nothing in the world that ever gave your mind, other than HAL 2000 when they had that one come out. There was nothing that really gave your mind this future-looking animated film that had so many things. Star Trek was there with the little walkie-talkies that became cell phones for us, but it never had that future-looking thing of how going beyond Earth. And it was such the future looking, and the animations at that time. Now you look at it and go, "Jesus God Almighty!" It looks like rinky dinky. But to me, that film, that first one, really inspired. I'll bet you, I would bet that film generated $1 trillion, and all the other things that it created after that. At least $1 trillion, because you can think about that. Walt Disney, everything now that's going on, it's a multi-billion-dollar beginning that George Lucas and Productions put together. That just kicked off a revolution, and it really put, we were the movie making capital, but it really opened up a whole new section that you broadcast to the whole globe with that movie. It meant to everybody. Everybody on the planet could go and watch and go, wow, that's really cool. It's not just US, it's everybody that could gather together. You can all gather and hold hands with everybody on the planet and watch that kind of a movie.
I would say that Stanley Kubrick with 2001 Space Odyssey, he was the first, and that was probably around 1970 or something. And he had very similar effects. They're actually still pretty good to this day. But it was more of a thinking person's movie. It didn't really get the reach like you're talking about globally or throughout families. Like there wasn't lines around the block like there were for Star Wars took that and said, I'm going to go out to the masses. And it really touched everybody, down to the 3-year-old kid to the 80-year-old granny. Everybody was touched by that first movie. And I remember
you had a hero. You had somebody you cheered for. It was a planet thing. It wasn't. I wasn't going against some culture. It was we're a whole planet against the other bad guys somewhere in the universe.
Yeah. In our little town, Lancaster, which back then was probably like 20,000 people, there was like 2 movie theaters, and the one which was out by Tiki Lanes, I remember the Star Wars was the only thing that ran in that theater, and the lines were around the corner for months and months and months. There was nothing else that played in that theater for the entirety of the summer and into the fall. It was just never seen anything like that since. None of the other episodes were even approached the original in terms of that kind of excitement. Although I'm sure they made more money because the ticket prices went up over time. But that first one, I have to agree with you. It really was the breakthrough movie. Now, there's a lot of people that say there's a lot of bad Star Wars movies. I'm more like you. I love them all. I don't love them equally, but I enjoy them all. But if I had to pick one, the last one, The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
It's just that was the only one where it went on so long that I was just ready for it to end. And I liked the characters and all that, but it just seemed it was so disjointed. And I just, that one, I think they could have done better. But even that one was enjoyable and lots of action and all of that. But that was probably my least favorite of all of them.
And I liked it.
And you liked it, which, there's a lot to like about it. There are some great fight scenes. Some of the best fight scenes are in that one, but it's just it came to a head all in this dark place at the very end, and I don't know, it was just a little bit of a downer for me. That's all.
On to segment 3. Good segment. We love the Star Wars. So on to segment 3, and we're going to talk about this is just a really good one that we talk about a trip that the Panda took with the family, and I love this story. We heard it here recently. The worst vacation story growing up. Mr. Panda, take it over.
Yeah. So just as a kind of level set, so every 2 weeks from this, when I was as old as I can remember going out on vacations, we would go with our cousins, aunt and uncle, and we get in motorhomes and we would drive to Colorado, and then we would camp all over in Montana, Wyoming, mostly Colorado, but we would go to all these other states. And, it was my cousins and my brother, and we had motorhomes that over time got to be pretty nice motorhomes that you would kind of recognize today. But back in the early days, they literally were, if you can visualize it, it was a truck, like a pickup truck, and you just dropped in on the bed of a truck. You just dropped this camper, and it would
By the
just,
way, Panda, we can visualize that in the South
yeah, well, true, yeah. So, but
and
that's what
Midwest.
Yeah, so that's what we had in those early days, and it was just me and my brother. We're all in like under 10. I think all of us were under 10. There's a whole bunch of us. So when you drive out for like 24, 36 hours, whatever, to get out west, you do a lot of pit stops, roadside rests and all that. And we'd get out and the kids would stretch, go to the bathroom, get a bologna sandwich, get a drink, whatever. And then inevitably the kids would always want to go, I want to go in their motorhome, or are they going to go in mine? And so we were always doing that just because it was a long, boring drive with nothing to do. And by the way, we probably shouldn't even have been in the back of these campers, because I think you probably get thrown in jail if somebody found kids in the back of those today. It'd probably like death traps. But anyway, so we were back there, and so this one trip, I'm probably 8, 7. My brother's, a couple of years younger, and we're driving along. We stop in first stop Indiana, like western part of Indiana. We get out and get back in, take off down the road about 20 miles or so. And then at this point, somebody somewhere, one of the parents decided, hey, let's maybe check in on the kids. And so they're like
How
tapping
long do
on
you think that was that you guys went?
I I'm so young. I'm 7, so my memory is really sketchy. But we went substantial distance down the road. It
The way
wasn't
I tell the story is 1 hour.
okay. Well, I would say like 20 miles in my head. We went 20 miles down, and they started asking, like, okay, Dale, you there? Yeah. All right. Bruce? Yeah. Jamie? Yeah. Andy? Yeah. Cindy? Cindy? Jeff? Uh-oh. So they realized, oh shit, we were missing 2 kids. And so turn around, go back, and there at this roadside rest are my cousin Cindy and my brother Jeff. Jeff's 5, Cindy's probably 7. And they got the highway patrolmen like all around them. You got some ladies there, like, patting him on the head, and like, your parents didn't abandon you. We show up and they're in tears. And Cindy tells the story that Jeff was like 5-year-old, like running down after the camper after you see it take off, whatever. So yeah, that was our kickoff of that particular vacation. And you can bet for the rest of the next 10 or 15 years of doing that was discussed before we took off. And Jeff and Cindy were not particularly happy about that every time it came up. But yeah, that was a story that I shared recently, and that was kind of it over the years it kind of took on a life of its own. But yeah, that was the worst vacation story that we had growing
That's
up.
a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
by the way, remember that one. Going an hour now, my wife has the same story, except for she caught the car before it left. And her brother saw it, and her brother was notorious for never telling the parents anything, but he actually told the parents as she was running to catch the car. And
Oh my.
they got to the end of the on-ramp of the
Oh,
rest area, and they yeah.
they found. Oh, okay. Not quite as
Surprise,
bad.
Bob, you didn't keep on going, but that's okay.
Speed it up. Why are they speeding up?
Why do they leave? Why are they going faster? On to segment number 4, life's simple pleasures. I've got a long one, so Panda, we'll
yeah.
go ahead with you.
Yeah, mine's a pretty simple one. So being back in Ohio for about 10 days or so reminded me of the doom and gloom Ohio weather from about what November through March into April, where it is gray every day. And so came back down to Atlanta, and we had a beautiful 68-degree day. The sun was out and the birds are chirping, and I'm just walking in the neighborhood, and that's just a simple pleasure just to have a day like that where you're wearing shorts, and it's cool but not hot. The sun is on your back, and just going for a stroll, listening to the birds, which Joe and I did today on a walk in the neighborhood. So that is just a simple pleasure that I wanted to call out this week. So pretty
I'm very
straightforward.
very similar. Mine starts out going to Ohio too, and for me, collecting friends along this life's journey is so important. You collect friends along this life journey, and being up in Ohio this time is one of the hardest things to do with friends in life is making sure you find the time. It's really hard to find the time for friends, but you figure out how you make the time. And no matter what, Panda here, we've got an episode here. Panda just lost his father most recently. And life's simple pleasures to me is there's times in life where you figure out how you be with your friends. And Panda shared that same story he just talked about with the camper. And I'm sitting back in the audience with one of other good friends, and I like get tears in my eyes listening to Panda tell his stories. And to me, one of life's simple pleasures is being able to be there and share memories with your friends, and being able to have those times of sorrow, have those times of happiness. So, a simple pleasure there is just being there. And thank you, Panda. I know it was a sad time for you, a sad time for losing your father, but it is a simple pleasure for me to make sure to be there and hang out with one of my best friends in life. But
Well, I I thanked you there, but there's really no way I could thank you. And having you and the
Mr. Heil.
our Mr. Heil, I guess we could say his name, and Monica, that meant so much to me. It is hard. It is very hard to find time. And I will say this, and it's not an exaggeration, but there is no better friend on this planet to anybody, not just me, than Steve Wheeler. So you are that guy. You show up for everybody, not just me, but I do appreciate when you show up for me as well. And I strive to do better in that area because I am not as good as you. And so I look up to you in that regard. But thank you for showing up. That meant a lot to not just me, but our whole family. So thank you for coming.
Life's simple pleasure being there, and I
Yeah.
really I it's a horrible time to get together, but it was actually a good time to get together and share the stories of
Yeah.
a great man. But
Yeah. It was, yeah, we did what he would have wanted, which is talk about the fun times. And
yep,
we did talk about those. So that was
you did
good.
a fantastic job. I was sitting back beaming with pride of your presentation, because I think the night before you were scared to death of what you were going to say, and you delivered very well. You did a great job.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
think he would have liked it.
Well, we really we're not going to add any sour notes. We love
Yeah.
Life Simple Pleasures, but that just think about it for everybody who listens to our podcast. How do you be a better person? How do you listen better? How do you just go out there and be a better person? We hope you had a little laugh with us. Please go out there, like it, share the podcast.
Oh, we're not. You're not getting out of here with getting stumped.
Oh, I forgot
Sorry,
about
man.
it. You're gonna
Gotta
you're gonna
stump
stump
you.
me with your movie because I am just a moron when it comes to movies, and you have to give me the last clue. You almost have to spell out the last name before I get it.
Well, this is I think the most popular movie from the year 1985. You definitely would know the movie, and I think you're going to know this quote, but we will see. So this was one picked out by my better half, Miss Jill. So I thought it was a good one. So here we go. Here's the quote: "Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads." Imagine some wacky old
Stripes,
guy. Nope. Imagine some wacky old guy going, "Roads, where we're going, we
Chevy
don't need
Chase,
roads."
Vacation.
Ooh, Tom, that's a good guess, but no, that's not it. That's a really good guess. I didn't think about that one. This might be harder than I thought it was because I have the visual in my head. It's the very end of this particular movie. The very end. It might even be the last line of the movie.
I can only think of Mel Gibson in the other movie he was in, but it's not it because he wouldn't say that. Oh, okay. I have to have
All
another
right, you
clue.
are stumped. Yeah, this I thought it would be easier, but now that I think about it, only because I knew the context. This is the very end of the movie Back to the Future.
With
So
the crazy professor.
crazy
With the
professor, he shows
roads.
up in the driveway in the
Yeah.
DeLorean, and he's like putting stuff,
One of my favorite
gear,
all-time movies,
yeah,
man.
and they get in there, and Michael J. Fox goes, "Well, we don't have enough road to take off." He goes, "Where we're going, we don't need roads." So, and then he takes off, flies away. So that's the end of
Such a
that.
good movie.
Yeah.
And Michael J. Fox was the guy I always thought I kind of looked a little bit alike, and even more the little puffy goose jackets. And
Yes.
I
Yeah,
actually
you
in
did.
company events, there was a couple company events I went out there and played Michael J. Fox's, and we talking about the future, and I would wear the vest and walk out there and strut and be the Michael J. Fox character and talk about future being on the stage. As a matter of fact, this is the same event that I met my dear wife at. With our company when I walked out there playing Michael
Hmm.
J. Fox, and I don't even know how I forget that. But I would never think about that. That would be not a line I would ever think about.
Yeah.
Never.
All right. Well, we'll get you one you can grab here
Please,
next time.
everybody screaming on the podcast. It's got back to the future. Why isn't this dummy getting it? Yeah, that's right. I'm a moron. I know.
Uh,
Panda, you know what? I love doing these podcasts, and we'll have a ton of listeners as we had a little talk up there when we were of recently together. So happy everybody can listen to us, and please like us. Go and tell your friends about the podcast.
yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks all.
See ya.
Have a good one. Yeah.